Hello, people. On today's show, me and my co-host Alex are going to do a loose analysis on the 2001 animated film Spirited Away. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing, and we have a ton of new episodes coming their way soon. As always, if you have never seen the film we are discussing, we encourage you to watch before you listen. And without further ado, please enjoy the show. All right, young getter, we're back.
Here we are,
Again,
again in the basement of my house.
I like it. So, yeah, this was my suggestion. We did Spirited Away by, I can't say his first name very well. Is it Hayao Miyazaki?
Oh, dude, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Well, I know it's Miyazaki, but yeah, it's an animated film. Is it from 2001?
Yeah, can you believe that? That it's that old?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah. It's aged well, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like the animation has aged well. It reminds me of like Lilo and Stitch.
Like the character design of like the little girl or something? Or?
Like the watercolor background. Like that's how Lilo and Stitch was made.
Oh, like the same method or something?
Yeah, well, I'm not necessarily the method, but like it has like a little bit of a traditional art style.
So these are some of the things that you're gonna have to fill me in on.
Oh,
because you did recommend this movie, and I think you're the resident like anime expert.
Is that
at this
right?
Table.
I'm not necessarily an anime expert.
Well, compared to me, you might be.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I guess I should preface it by saying I don't really have any experience watching, like, Japanese, English dubbed, whatever.
Yeah.
Like this subgenre of animated movies.
I think it's not that weird though. It's almost kind of like, just think of it like the Japanese Pixar, or like the Japanese, like Studio Ghibli is like the Japanese Pixar, like very like coveted, like well respected production.
Yeah, I was about to ask because like I know they have other movies that are like pretty
well received.
Yeah. The only one I can think of at the top of my head is like Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, because doesn't your wife love the movie?
Yeah. That's her favorite movie by the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I think Spirited Away is like probably the most successful, at least like as in terms of like crossover.
Yeah, into like America.
Yeah,
I think so. I think you're right. It's considered the masterpiece out of the Studio Ghibli movies, but I only think it's considered that a masterpiece because I think a lot of adults can really enjoy this movie. It has a lot of dark. There is other films that I have not seen that do have dark themes, like by Studio Ghibli, like a little bit more like serious tone to them. But this one for sure kind of like hangs in the in between pretty well, in my opinion.
Is this your favorite movie, like by them?
That I've seen, yes. I've wanted to see Howl's Moving Castle, which I have not seen, and I haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service.
Okay,
but I've seen like Ponyo, which is really like a little bit more childish. Like it's pretty surreal too. Mm-hmm. But Ponyo, and then I've seen My Neighbor Totoro. Actually, those two movies have been like a thing. So me and the lady for a while there, we made like date night out of going to the Studio Ghibli, like picking out a movie and like bringing it home and watching it. And, like,
okay.
So that was our thing, like that we did. And so I got like introduced to this movie by Elizabeth. She had like grown up on this movie. She like it was kind of like a household favorite between the children. Mm-hmm. And so she's seen it a ton of times. And so she showed it to me a couple years ago. And when I first watched it, like she thought I had seen it because, like you said, you think I'm some sort of anime expert, which is, I don't really watch anime very often. If I do, it's like maybe once every year I'll watch like a small series or something. But it's been a little while. But I tend to like more serious, like a lot more adult themes and stuff, and like like Cowboy Bebop is like a great entry level for a lot of people. Like it's really dark and serious, but it's still kind of lighthearted at times. Which anyway, I know enough about it,
Yeah.
but I'm not the expert.
I feel like the most experience I've gotten out of watching anime is just like watching Adult Swim when I was a
Yeah.
kid, like past midnight, because
Uh-huh.
that's when they would play like, Cowboy Bebop and
Yeah, on Toonami. When they would cross over to Toonami.
and I enjoyed those shows back in the day, but I feel like I was too young to really understand them.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, but like very rarely did I ever watch. I think I started watching anime like when I was like in like early high school, where like I started to like talk to more like different people. I got introduced to like different people from like different schools. And, like we all converged like from primary school to high school and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Like back then, I was just all about like it was something different, and like it's basically like Dragon Ball and like stuff like that. And but like wasn't until maybe like later down the road where I started to get into like more like serious, like there's a lot of different like ways the genre gets, like the genre can go many different ways. Like it can be like really like sensory overstimulation and like anime trope type shit, or there can be like stuff that like really explores like the depths of the human psyche and stuff. And so it's kind of broad. Like,
Yeah.
when you like look into anime.
I'm sure there's stuff out there that that I would enjoy, but there's always been this like barrier stopping me from trying to get
Yeah.
into it. So you'll have to excuse my inexperience. I don't want to sound like a kid that didn't do his homework.
Yeah.
For this episode, I just watched this movie today,
Okay.
like 5 or 6 hours ago, and I've only seen it one time.
Okay.
So
I feel like you'll be okay. I feel like this movie is a great. I feel like why it did so well, like commercially too, is like I think like I said, it appeals to adults in a way where like an adult can be intrigued. This movie leaves a lot to be unanswered as far as like the way the world is in this movie. Kind of like the world.
I agree with that.
The world building is very vast, and like there's a lot that's not explained, and it's like, but you're kind of just thrusted into it, and that's why I think there's a lot of movies that do that, where like you're just like along for the ride, and like this is a different reality that you're in.
yeah, it definitely is like that. So
It reminds me of like Blade Runner.
I'm gonna need you to be like my guide for this talk.
Maybe your spirit guide.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we dive into the plot, do you want to
Talk about what we're drinking.
Yeah. So only to culturally appropriate, we had to pick up an imported beer. I forget what is it even called?
It's Sapporo.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, could be pronouncing wrong, but it's it's a Japanese. Yeah, it's a Japanese beer. It's probably like a Japanese Miller Lite.
Yeah, it kind of smells that way too.
Yeah,
and looks that way.
It kind of looks like a Pilsner, but I'm not really sure like what it's brewed with, but I would imagine because there's like weed on the front. Anyway, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
I know we've already taken a few sips, but yeah, it's beer.
Yeah, it doesn't taste that much different than
Probably
it's refreshing though, I think.
this is a good dinner beer. Like I could see like this in a pizza, or it's really light.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's crisp.
We also got sake.
Yeah. Which we've both never had. Do you want to try it right now?
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, fuck it.
I'm sorry if I hate this, like,
Dude, what if we both hate it and we're gonna have a big ass bottle of sake? Like,
it was cheap. We just went to like the supermarket to pick this stuff up. Oh god.
It smells kind of weird. I'm actually really excited though. Ooh, that's a good sound.
I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid. It smells really fruity. Does it not?
It smells like a cross between like wine and liquor.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I'm kind of excited. I don't want to smell it again. Do we cheers?
Yeah. I don't think we're supposed to take it like a shot though.
Nah, I think you're supposed to just like sip it. Whew.
It's interesting.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
It's... I really don't know how I feel about that. Let me try it again.
I have a feeling we're gonna have a big bottle of sake sitting in the
I
cabinet for a while.
think you're right. I don't like it. I can't get behind it.
Nah, I don't like it either, really.
All right, well, we got to finish it. And
I'll sip on it as we go, but
yeah, it's also 15% by volume, which is like basically like it's almost not strong enough.
yeah, like it's like not as strong as like whiskey or something.
Yeah, it's
but
because I think there's just the alcohol content's too low, and it just kind of tastes like fruit water in a way.
yeah,
Yeah, your face says it all. That's not my favorite either, but I'm glad we tried it.
yeah. I was curious. I mean, I've gone 27 years without trying it,
Yeah.
so
Ooh, I don't know. Okay. I feel like you ever seen The Last Samurai? The movie with Tom Cruise.
no, you like love that movie, don't you?
Yeah, it's actually not that it's not that great. Well, it's not like perfect. It's not like a masterpiece or anything, but I really like that movie.
Yeah.
And he's a drunk in that movie, and there's a scene in the movie where like he just like begs for sake because he's like going through withdrawal. It's like crazy.
Oh God.
It's like a really weird dream sequence. So anytime I think of sake, I only can see like Tom Cruise like screaming for sake.
I don't think we're gonna be screaming for sake anytime soon.
Oh my God, my body's screaming right now. It doesn't taste good. I can't drink this.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't like it really.
Okay.
Maybe we can get Logan to try it when he comes over later,
Absolutely.
and he'll hate it too.
Yeah, so you can jump in with this. Okay. Oh, we need to let's preface the plot and everything. So this movie opens up with our main character Chihiro and her two parents, and
Yeah.
they are in their little sedan. I think it's an Audi. I think it is.
Fuck, I don't remember.
I think it is. Yeah, it is. It's a little gray sedan, but they are moving to a new town. It looks like, and we don't really get a lot of explanation, which is like what a lot of this movie is. There isn't a lot of.
No, I mean like this is only really mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah. God, okay, we're gonna go deep. Oh, okay. So yeah, they're moving to a new town, and like Chihiro seems like a brat, and she doesn't want to leave her old school and stuff. She's got to go to,
which is understandable. I mean,
which is yeah.
kids don't like being moved around.
But so then they miss their turn. All this happens because her dad misses a turn. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Dad misses a turn, and they try to take a shortcut.
He's got to go total dad and be like, I know
where I'm going.
The long way around, or the short way, or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And so they take that shortcut, and then they make it all the way up this path, and like dad nearly kills them because he's like driving like 40 miles an hour up like a dirt path at like where he doesn't know where they're at, and like
I was kind of thinking like, who is this maniac?
Yeah.
Like when I was,
I feel like the way it's animated makes it look a lot more dangerous than probably what like reality would have been, but yeah, it's very fun. And then they like get all the way to the top of this path and like break and are stopped by like a little like stone.
some kind of statue sitting in the middle of the road.
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's like a actual name for it in the culture.
And Chihiro like notices one on the road, like when they're driving up the street.
Yeah.
Like hanging out in the forest or something.
And there's like these little like stone like houses that are like laid out, and I think like spirits are supposed to live there, and her mom explains that to her very briefly.
Yeah.
As we're going up there, and then we get to the very top, and the dad slams on the brakes, and they stop, and they get out, and then they go through this
Like entryway building kinda.
yeah, and they make their way through this like stone tunnel. Like Shihira's like reluctant to go, and like they're like, we'll just wait in the car then. And then she finally like doesn't want to be left alone like with the statue, and like so then goes and follows her parents, and then it like opens up into like a train station.
Yeah, the layout of the land here is really weird. Like it's like a
Yeah.
super open field.
Yeah. So it opens up into that train station. Like as they come out of the train station, it opens up into that field with like empty river. It's just like stone, like the bottom of a river, and I feel like I keep catching things in my brain like later down in the.
Her dad mentions that like the building is like made of plaster. Like he's
Yeah.
like, this is
It's
not this isn't an old building. It's like a
it's an old amusement park.
yeah.
And she explains like that when the economy went bad, they all went abandoned. And so they're in this old amusement park, and then as they make their way across the empty river, like over the plains, basically, like it's just like this big it's like super vast.
Yeah.
Makes no sense compared to like what the setting they were just in, which is like,
I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, like there's no buildings around or anything, like no side of like, normal society and like population of people anywhere. And so they make their way through, like, because they're kind of they think they're exploring this amusement park, and it's like a market, like an empty market, and then they like smell something cooking, and they're like, oh, I'm starving, and they're like, well, what about, like, Shihira's like, well, what about the movers? And like they're like, well, they'll be fine, because they're like trying to move into their new house.
I thought this was weird that the parents were so easily distracted on this side adventure.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it was kind of like supposed to be
Like were they being like drawn in
Yeah.
or something?
or like they were symbolically like arrogant or whatever. And yeah, they like smell cooking food, and then they find like this one little shop in the market, like just has like this a huge array of like cooked like meats and stuff, and then they start eating, and like Shihiro is still reluctant, like doesn't sit down to eat with their parents, and like he says, don't worry, baby, like daddy has credit cards and cash, like, oh, don't worry about it, we'll just sit here and eat, because like no one was there to serve them, so like they would just went ahead and help themselves basically. And then like Chihiro just like walks away, basically, like she doesn't want to participate, and like she's like too curious about where she's at.
Is it just me, or does the food in anime always look really good?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't like eat it in real life because like vegan and shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I was like seeing him eat like all these like meats and like
Yeah.
dumplings, and I was like, damn, that looks really good.
Yeah, it was like this is like one of those small things they do, but like it was almost hand drawn and it was animated around it type thing. And yeah, if like you haven't seen this movie, if you're listening to this and haven't seen it, I highly suggest, like, if you're one of the few people that haven't seen it yet, just watch. I think it's on HBO Max. Is that where you watched it?
Yeah, well, I was able to watch it on there.
Yeah, I own it, but I think they just put all the Studio Ghibli movies on there. So like if anybody wants to have a heyday, they're more than welcome to.
I've got some catching up to do.
Dude, they're weird. But yeah, so she like goes and like kind of explores this empty market, and as she like goes up this staircase, she sees the bathhouse and runs into our
like our first like human character.
Yeah.
You know, sort of.
Yeah. He's
within the amusement park.
Yeah, and his name's Haku, but we don't know that yet. And he's like, "What are you doing here? Like, you have to leave. Like, you shouldn't be here." And it's like almost night, and then we get like this upbeat music to like indicate that like you have to hurry.
It gets dark really fast. Like
Yeah.
the clouds just roll in, and
Uh-huh.
it's like nighttime right
Yeah.
there.
I thought this movie's a lot of confusion. Like, especially like it starts in confusion, ends in confusion.
I agree. I'm still confused sitting at this table right here.
Yeah, it's but so like anyway, just to say like he's trying to move them out. Like he's like, you have to get out of here. And when Chihiro comes back to her parents, they have turned into pigs. And I don't know if you caught that beforehand, but they were like snorting like pigs when they were eating.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Okay.
I did notice that.
Yeah, I think it was like just to set that in your brain so you weren't surprised when they got, because they were kind of snorting as they were eating like hogs. But her parents are turned into pigs, like they have their clothes and their hair, and it's really weird. It's really weird. It like sets you up for like the ride that you're about to take.
I really love the animation when Haku gives her the warning and she's like running away. Mm-hmm. And like all of the street lamps are lighting up at the same time, like those like red lanterns. Mm-hmm. Like I just like thought visually, it like looked really cool.
Yeah, this movie visually is like very beautiful. Like there's a lot of like small things that build the world very well.
I agree.
So she finds out, like, parents, pigs, freaking out, runs down to the water, back to where she came from. But now there's water.
It's like a whole a huge river.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like a lake.
The distance from where she's at to like the train yard that they entered in, it looks like it's like miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really odd. Like, and she's like, I'm dreaming, and she's like trying to like snap herself out of it. And as she's down by the water, like a fairy comes in, and like that fairy comes in from across the lake or the river and like drops off like these masks.
They're like floating. They're just like objects when they come out of the room, and then they kind of like form into
like people, like spirit looking. Yeah,
yeah.
This movie doesn't explain like any of like what the hell is happening.
No, because it seems like in this world there's like a bunch of like different species or something.
Yeah,
but you never like learn what they're called really, or
it's only like up to your imagination of like what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like the music, the soundtrack to this is like really nice. Like that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's just the music, and
I agree.
It's like perfect for each set of it, like each tone. Like this world's moving around Chihiro, our main character, and now she's caught in it. It's really nice. Like things are up to usual. Like the spirits are coming into the bathhouse, and so then everyone's out, and like I think Haku at this moment, like down by the river, like takes her and hides her.
Yeah, there's like this weird moment where she's like locked in place for a second, like where she like can't stand up.
Yeah,
and like he has to like cast a spell to like get her to stand up. I didn't really understand that a whole lot.
I don't. So he she's like disappearing.
Yeah.
She's like disappearing. Like she's starting to get like
her hands are like transparent and stuff.
And Haku makes her eat like a berry or something, like a little red ball. It looks like he's like, you have to eat food from this world or you'll disappear. And like it's just like it's like moving fast. It's like go. Like you're not getting time to sit here and think about anything. And she doesn't want to eat it, but he like makes her eat it, and then he's like, here, you'll feel better. And so we like know that Haku wants to help her, and yeah, he does cast that like little spell on her to like get her to stand up, which is kind of like
I don't understand. When did she get locked there?
Yeah,
like
I think
who did it?
I think I know who did it, but I was gonna say like there's like a soft magic system in this world that we're in. Like they're really like nothing is defined.
Yeah,
like things just kind of happen, and we're like, well, okay, I guess it can happen. You know, you don't really like there isn't like no set of rules for you. But yeah, the crow is looking. There's a crow. We get to see that there's a crow in the sky
with like a human face. Kinda.
Yes, and like big nose, human face, like black bird body. And it's looking for Chihiro, and he's like, that bird is looking for you, and like so he's trying to hide her because a human must not be allowed here, and we get that gets to explain to us because Haku's explaining to her like you can't be here, humans aren't allowed here, but you need to go down to the boiler room and meet Kamaji and ask him for work. And that way she can stay here, basically. Because if you work, and then you won't be like turned into a pig.
Yeah,
you won't be turned into food. And so, or excuse me, we're missing. We always do this, but
are we jumping too far ahead?
I think so. Yeah, because they're trying to get past the bridge. She has to hold her breath.
After that, doesn't it?
She has to hold her breath. And she doesn't hold her breath all the way across the bridge
because they get stopped by that frog guy.
Yeah, and then she takes a big deep breath, and he's like a human, and then Haku like lightning fast like just eats them across like the bridge and like takes them across this door basically behind a set of bushes on the backside of the bathhouse. And then he tells her like telepathically. Like he just like puts his hand on her head or something like that, and like just like shows her like where she needs to go, like down this staircase to the boiler room, and ask Kamaji for work.
He knows her name already.
Yeah,
and like it's kind of like it's kind of hinted that they know each other somehow.
Mhm.
Although I don't know if I ever got any answers on this.
You did, and I'll explain it to you later.
Okay, maybe I missed something.
You might have. It's okay. I actually missed that part of the movie. I always forget about it every time I watch it, so it's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she like has to make her way down the staircase to Kamaji, and like the staircase is like the sketchiest set of stairs you've ever seen in your life. And
Windy and on the side of a cliff that you would almost definitely die if you fell off of.
yeah. And then she like is slowly inching her way down the steps, and then like one of them breaks. And like so she like basically like falls on her butt, and then like has to like sprint down the stairs and stuff, and and it was kind of, it's funny, you can only do it in animation, so it was nice.
Yeah.
And then she like face plants into the wall. Yeah.
I was kind of feeling bad for her at this point.
She's like basically she's like freaking out. I think the way this movie can only be done in animation. Very like there's a lot of things that just like definitely would like kill anybody. Like I don't know, just like it's just like the like exaggeration of things is really nice. And it works really well.
I agree.
Moving to the boiler room. This is like where I feel like our story really starts taking off, and like we kind of get introduced to the way this world works.
I enjoyed this scene.
Oh,
Like at least from like a visual standpoint, especially.
Yeah, it like Kamaji, we get introduced to him that like he's grinding like herbs and like spices
To throw into some kind of like furnace or something, right?
Yeah, the furnace is like, let's just say we'll probably have to move a little bit faster because we're already halfway into this, but or 30 minutes into this, but
Is this like symbolic or something?
no, I was just gonna say like the way like he has a spell cast on these like soot. They're called soot sprites. It's like kind of like a thing in the world of Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
They're kind of like plastered on like merchandise and stuff.
They look like little like spiders, kind of.
Yes. Like little fuzzball looking things. Like, I'll let you talk about this scene because you got to experience it for the first time. Like, what do you think? Like, what stood out to you? Like, what was different?
I thought it was interesting. Just that he had this like spell on all these little things coming up to like throw the coal into the fire. Like her interaction with him is so weird because he like barely acknowledges her. He's busy doing what he's doing, but
he has like no care that she's there. I think it's almost like he knows that she's there.
He seems like real grumpy that he's there or that she's there, but like he kind of like sticks his neck out for her in the end.
Yeah, because
which I didn't really understand. Like I didn't understand why he felt compelled to like help her.
Yeah,
when he didn't really want her there, and then he's like, "Well, this is my granddaughter."
Yeah, because so we can skip over a little bit of it, but she like picks up a piece of coal and like has to throw it in because one of the sprites like dropped a piece of coal on itself, and she helped it, and she was and Kamaji's like, finishes what you started, human.
Yeah,
and like basically telling her to go throw it into the furnace, which is like basically like one little tiny beam that the soot sprites go up to, and like so she has to like plank up to it and like throw it in, and she's like really weak. It's like, how heavy is that fucking coal, dude?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It's like, but it's probably an exaggeration, but it's only like to show that like she's weak, basically, and like not capable. But then like, yeah, Lynn comes in through like that little cupboard door, basically, to like give Kamaji food. So like she must bring him food every day, and she like, because it's like one of the world building things that they do. She's like, didn't I say to leave out the bowl from yesterday? And he's like starts eating, and then she feeds the soot sprites, and then she's like, a human? Like, you're the one that everybody's been looking for. And Kamaji's like, that's my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And so, and then Lynn knows, you know, like, oh, and she's like, take her to Yubaba to give her some work. And so we're still really confused. Like, we're like, okay. And Lynn's like, say thank you. He's really sticking his neck out for you. And she's like, thank you. And like, she makes him like say thank you and whatever. And then they go about their business, and then they start moving to the bathhouse, which I think is really, really interesting. Like, you get to see the elevators and stuff. Like this really vast like bathhouse of like all these spirits are like coming to relax, and like it's like really intricate, and all these elevators, and like
Like people coming and going.
yeah,
There is a lot going on right here.
yeah. I think it's only just to indicate like that Chihiro's like caught in the middle of whatever this reality must be. Everybody's going about their normal business, and now she's just in it, like unwelcome. I thought, let's just say, I think like when stuff like this that doesn't get explained only like helps the movie because it only enhances your curiosity. Like you only are only thinking about subconsciously like, well, okay, where am I at? Why is this happening, or why do they do this, or why do people greet here? All these different characters. Some are frogs, some are ducks, some are some people don't have like any sort of form. They're not like animals or anything.
They're like shadow figures or whatever.
Yeah, it's like just really interesting. Like it doesn't explain a whole lot.
So
it like keeps your curiosity open. I think it's why it appeals to people. Like I said earlier, because like it brings back like a sense of like wonder and like awe, and that's why I enjoy it, because it's like
not everything has to be explained like that. Like we don't need like an in-depth, explanation of every species and all the rules in this world. That's okay sometimes.
Yeah, I thought like it's just like it's not really like I guess it would be considered like a fantasy movie, I guess.
I thought so.
It's just like, I don't know. It feels very childish. It just feels very like wondrous. That's why I like this movie a lot. But like they move like, so basically like Lynn has to like move her like kind of like through the bathhouse with like not trying to like allow any other spirits to notice that she's a human and anything. And like so as she's like taking her up all the elevators and stuff, like they run into like a radish spirit, like this big like massive like probably like 12-foot tall, like radish looking thing with legs.
Yeah.
Really weird. Doesn't talk. It's like, like making like weird sounds and stuff. And then like,
they all make references to like humans smelling really bad.
Yeah.
Like they can always like pinpoint when a human's there because of their smell.
Yeah. And one of the workers notices that Lynn smells like a human and tries to stop her, like to figure out what the hell's going on. But let's not forget that Kamaji gave Lynn a roasted newt. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember this.
He's like, "What if I gave you this roasted newt?" And then she's like, "Okay, I'll take Chihiro up to see Yubaba." And then that's what that frog smells, the human. She's like, "Maybe you smell this roasted newt." And I'm like, "Well, shit, roasted newts must be the shit around here. Like, what the hell is going on?"
It
like,
just looked like a burnt lizard.
That's what it was for sure. And then she like eats it and like basically like is distracting this like other frog looking spirit that like must work there. And like she sends Chihiro up the elevator with a radish. It's really funny. Like I thought it was very visually like interesting to like
this little girl next to this big creature.
Yeah. But then like as she goes up to she's going to go see Yubaba, and so like this is where we get introduced to Yubaba, and Yubaba's like, she like opens that door, like goes to open the door, and like then the door like what is that called, like the knocking, you know what I'm talking about, like on a big door, like where like the handle, like there's a metal handle to knock.
Oh shit, I can't think of like the technical term for it.
Anyway, it looks like a face, and as Chihiro goes to open the door, it talks to her and is like, "You're not even gonna knock." And like then the doors open like this huge corridor, like many doors, like down a hallway, like it very like very almost like castle like, and then she gets, and Yubaba's like talking like
from far away kind of,
and like it's really loud, like almost like in her head, and she's like, "Well, come on in," and then she says, "Come in," and you get like a cut to her hand, and it just whips her in like magically. I thought it was very like, oh shit, like okay, so like you get to see some of that more magic that's in the world.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. So they just like pull Chihiro through all these corridors and hallways to her office, which I thought was really interesting.
I thought the meeting between her and Yubaba was pretty interesting.
Like, what about it? Like, what first off, what were you thinking when you watched it?
I was like wondering because it seemed like they wanted to shield her from Yubaba in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like the evil, witch or whatever that rules this place. But then they're like, go meet Yubaba for work. So they like send her directly to her. But like Yubaba is like a super imposing character. Like she looks like an old lady, but she's like really big. Like her proportions, like her head and her like dress are like gigantic. She's like menacing and intimidating.
Yeah.
And her voice and like the way that she's presented is really intimidating.
Yeah. It's like an old witch looking, but like almost like she has like jewelry all over her hands, and like it's very weird character design. I like it a lot. She's my favorite character.
Yeah, she was definitely interesting.
Like character design, like she has wrinkles, like deep crevices all over her face and her nose. Like it's very the way she's animated compared to the other characters is like it is like to show that she's imposing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought like I just remember watching this movie for the first time, and I had like the same feelings that you probably have, like just being like, like what the hell is going on, and just being like caught in the wonder of like each character and their role. I thought was just really. I think like each character like is animated and designed in their own special way.
I agree with that.
Like Kamaji has 6 arms so he can reach and grab the spices and stuff and the walls that he has, and I thought like it was really cool like to see like the way all the characters move and stuff like in the world.
I agree, definitely. So Yubaba's like kind of reluctant to give her work.
She doesn't want to give her work, and she like sews her mouth shut for a second and like gets her to shut up, and she's like, why would I give you work? All you would is you're lazy and you're spoiled, and like she's aware that she's a brat, like that Chihiro's a brat, and there's like 3 green heads that bounce around that just like go boom, boom, like just like hop around in front of her and stuff, and like
are they like little henchmen or like
pets?
Or...
It's just like really weird. Like you don't know. Like I even even now you're like, like what was their purpose?
Yeah, I had no fucking idea.
They just like hop around this like office basically, and like she doesn't want to give Shiro work, and like basically like yells like really loud, and like papers fly everywhere, and like she like basically like flies in front of her face, and she's like, why would I give you work? Yada yada yada. You're a brat, and then we can just hear like big thumping, like almost like Jurassic Park T-Rex, like boom, boom, and we get a baby.
So like by this point, I was so thrown off. Like so many weird things have happened, like in succession.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest for real.
It is, especially for a first viewing.
Yeah, like I'm almost always blindsided by it every time I watch it for real. Like
what, the giant baby?
Yeah, just like all of it. Yes, but the baby. The baby kicks a hole like through the door next to her desk, and just like, and she's like, "Oh, you woke the baby," like, and then Chihiro finally like can get Yubaba like finally gives her work after like she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll give you work if you like shut up," and then like there's something that she says. She says actually like gives Chihiro the contract and stuff. She's like, I can't believe I took that oath to give anybody work that asks for it. So like that's why they made her ask for work to Yubaba so she can stay. So like there was a like, so that kind of tied that up. It's like, oh, that's why she has to work.
Yeah.
And so I think like Chihiro gets her name taken away from her.
She's renamed
Sin.
Sin.
Yeah. She like, so in Japanese they write in kanji.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's how they're like, that's their letters and stuff. Like they're basically like symbols. And so like she like pulls the symbols off the paper and is left with like Sin. And so Yubaba takes her name. Then
she kind of takes her memory too, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like, we kind of learn that as we go along.
Yeah. And she calls Haku in because Haku is like Yubaba's right hand man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like another like curiosity that we have. It's like, huh.
And he kind of has to like pretend that he doesn't know her when he comes in.
Yeah, he like is really mean to her, like really stern with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Haku, I was gonna say Haku like brings her to Lynn and basically pawns her off on Lynn for work, and Lynn doesn't want to give her work, but like she's like, I don't want to work with her, but all right. And
Yeah.
I think this would probably be a good point to stop for a second. We're about 40 minutes into the movie, but we also should note that we get like a little thing to see that, like, for some reason, Sin, Chihiro finally looks to the sky, and like Haku's a dragon.
Yeah.
He's a dragon. Like
This also threw me off a lot too.
so he's like a serpent dragon, like ancient Chinese looking dragon, like that kind of dragon. Like no wings, but like flies like a snake, basically. Think if you ever seen the Never-Ending Story, he looks like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've never seen the Never-Ending Story.
I've only seen it like once, but he looks like the thing from Never-Ending Story. It's probably it's probably a good point to stop. This is like where I think the movie really picks off, though. Like it really like we get into like the deep like world of that we've like started to establish for ourselves.
Yeah, Chihiro kind of like really becomes ingrained like in the world after this point. Like she's like really in it.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a break.
All right.
Piss break. So like after we've established like the basics of like where we're at and like what predicament we're in, I feel like it really starts picking up, like, because Chihiro now has to work, and we get to see that like Lynn is like excited that like she's like, I can't believe you pulled it off. Like she's like, oh okay, like so Lynn's my friend too.
Yeah.
And it's weird because since this all happened at night, they all go to sleep during the day. It's really odd, like really different. Like, because as the sun comes up, they all get ready for bed. I thought that was really weird.
It's a weird little like inverse.
Yeah. As like they're going to bed though, like we get a little cutaway to see that like Yubaba like turns into a bird as well. Like she like puts a cloak around herself and like basically like makes wings and like just flies out of her office out the back window.
So that's kind of how we found out that that's who was flying above the the amusement park earlier.
Yeah, there's two birds. There's like one little, like, I almost imagine it's like an extension of her surveillance type thing. It's not really.
I could see that.
It's not really like established or anything or explained, but I only imagine it's like a spell or something that she's made to like survey the bathhouse and stuff. And then like she like flies off like into like the beginning dawn, and then basically as like Sin is trying to fall asleep during the day and stuff, Haku comes up to her and is like, meet me by the bridge if you want to, like, so you can see your parents, basically. And this is a really nice scene. I think he like pulls her through like the flowers and stuff, and which is really nice, like animation and stuff.
Oh, the visual looked amazing right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is like one of those scenes in the movie. It's like, damn, is it nice? Yeah, and then basically as she's making her way down though, like, don't forget the soot balls bring out her shoes for her. Yeah, I thought it was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Then she sees No Face on the bridge too. Like we've kind of seen him at the beginning of the first bridge scene. Like he kind of just like pops up.
Yeah.
It's almost like Chihiro, like Sin is the only person that sees her. Really odd.
Because like the movie doesn't really draw a whole lot of attention to it. Like when you see No Face, I mean, like the camera always pans to it,
and there's almost like a little like some sort of little instrumentation that indicates that like
something mysterious is going on here,
like a theme like that he has. Yeah, I like that. But he explains to Sin that it's up to you to remember who your parents are, like which pigs they are, because he takes them to this barn basically with a bunch of pigs in it. And basically like he's saying like you have to work to get your parents back, otherwise they'll end up food. They'll cook them, and it's really weird. Like it's really odd, but
very strange concept.
But he also explains to her that she must remember her name if she wants to go home, and like that's very important.
Yeah,
and you said that earlier, like
her memory's kind of been stolen from her in a way.
Yeah, like she says like Haku gives her clothes back and like a greeting card or like a card that her like classmates said goodbye on it, and she's like, Chihiro, she's like, oh, that's my name. She's like, I almost forgot it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's how Yubaba controls you. It's because she owns your name now. It's one of those things where it was like, huh, okay, so that's why she doesn't remember her name, and that when she signed that contract, when she signed her name away, it's why that she's having such a hard time remembering her name, and
Yeah,
she almost forgot why she was there.
we're getting filled in like some information right
Yeah.
here. A little bit.
Look, just enough. And then I believe at this point she starts working.
Yeah, scrubbing the floors of the bathhouse.
Uh-huh.
She gets like her first customer, the big like stink gob of whatever dirt and muck that this thing is.
Yeah, I wrote this down just to make sure on my notes, but Sin actually lets No Face through the window while she's working.
Yeah.
Don't forget, she's like, "Oh, I'll leave the door open for you," because she's like, she's like wiping or like wringing out a towel or something, or pouring water out the back window or something of one of these rooms.
No Face is just like hanging
out, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to come in? Like, I'll leave the door open for you." And so like, and then No Faces was invited in. Like as they're like, she gets the big tub. Like they give her the big tub, and like even Lynn's like, "Hey, this is unfair," and they're like, "Ha, deal with it." Like basically like harassing them.
Yeah.
Like for fun, like all the frogs are and stuff, all the frog workers and stuff, and like she has to go get the bath token to clean the tub or to make the tub look clean because they can't scrub it all out. They can't scrub like the scum and like the sludge that's on the bottom of the bathtub. And then the big stinky they called it a stink spirit.
Stink spirit.
Okay. Yeah, and it was like basically looks like a big pile of mud.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it almost looks like you played like the original Pokemon.
How original are we talking here?
Like first gen. Like do you know I think it's first gen, but like Grimer and Muck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah.
It looks like that basically. And but it's like that's like mud, brown. But I thought like this was all really interesting cuz like Lynn like basically is like showing her the ropes, and it's like having that. It reminded me of having that first job of like asking a lot of questions and being reluctant to like do anything on your own at first, and like someone has to sit there and explain everything to you. So it was cool.
You gotta feel bad for her because like her first customer is like the grimiest, dirtiest, like creature that could walk in there.
Yeah, when she goes and gets the bath token is when like the stink monster is rolling up, and like they actually No Face, since he's in the bathhouse now. He steals a bath token for her. Remember, he grabs a bath token and gives it to her. And, like, she can only see... for some reason, he's only, like, shows himself to her at this point. It's really odd. And it, like, gives you... like, makes you ask questions. Like, you're like, huh.
Because other people can see him later on.
Yeah. It's really weird. Like, he just, like, shows up out of nowhere. Yeah, he gives her a token, and then, like... then they hook up the token, and that token goes straight to Kamaji, and then Kamaji gives him the water, and that's why Kamaji, like, those tokens pop down in the boiler room and stuff. So it was cool. Yeah, like cool to see how the world works.
It's like a very intricate like system that they're working with here.
Yeah, it's really weird. But yeah, so as she's like filling the bathtub, like she overfills it and stuff, and she's making rookie mistakes and stuff, But since she's responsible for the stink spirit, like Yubaba makes her, and like Yubaba's watching over it and everything, and like basically the whole bathhouse is kind of stopping because this thing smells so bad. Like it's so indicative that it smells terrible. They send all the other spirits away to their rooms and stuff. They're like, "Go, everybody back to their rooms! Like, get out of here!" Like, because they don't want any of the other like customers to be like bothered by the smell. Yeah, I thought. Like, this scene is really weird.
Like, Yubaba kind of indicates that there's something weird about the stink spirit. Yeah. Like, she, like, senses that there's some kind of sense that she has about it where it's like, usually I don't sense this around a stink spirit or something. And we kind of find out that it isn't a stink spirit. Because...
as she like is helping the stink spirit, like giving it more water and like refilling the tub and stuff, because like all the water pours out into like mud and stuff. Like he like grabs her basically and like makes her like there's like a thorn. She's like, there's a thorn in his side, and then Yubaba's like, huh. And then she's like, this is no stink spirit we have on our hands. And then she like runs down and like flies down and like makes like a rope
Uh-huh.
out of thin air, and like she like makes her tie it on. It's a bike handle, which I thought like I love this scene because he has her pull all this trash out of her. Like the whole like bathhouse is like helping.
It's like a chain of trash that
Yeah.
they're pulling out of it.
Yeah, like bikes and like just like, you know, fishing poles and all kinds of stuff. And finally the bobber is stuck in the side and it pops out and it goes pop, and like and then you just hear like a sigh of relief. And then she's like engulfed in water basically at this point, and then like it's so weird, such weird visually thing, but like basically like a mask pops out of the water and is like, well done. And then it's kind of like explained to us that it was a river spirit, and it was like
polluted. Kinda.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought that was cool. Like,
I agree. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
it was like the spirit, like all the trash is everywhere, and then like there's like gold left over, like gold flakes in the floorboards and stuff. And like all the, you know, employees are rushing after the gold and stuff, and they're like, quit. Like Yubaba was like, quit. Our customer is still here. Like,
yeah.
And then she's like, Sen, move, get out of the way. And then he turns into like a dragon, like Haku. So like, kind of like, it's like
A little foreshadowing right there.
Two dragons. And then he rides out and like is happy, and everybody's joyous.
The visual of the river spirit like flying around the bathhouse and then like going out the front door,
like his exit.
Yeah, like visually that was like really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice, pleasant surprise to the film, I guess. But she's left with like a green-looking mothball type deal. Like it's a little green, like she's left with like a little like ball like that fits in the palm of her hand, and it's green, like a little green ball. And she's like, I don't know what this is, yada yada yada. And so like we got to see like the operation of the bathhouse in this scene, and like so like Sin kind of proved herself there, and even Yubaba was happy with her. She's like, he was very wealthy, like there's gold basically in all the floorboards, and like and then Yubaba's like, Saké is on the house, and which
I immediately thought when that happened,
Yeah.
like about us drinking sake tonight.
I also did too, but we don't like it, so
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
I put it up there.
I was about to say
it's disgusting.
It's a good thing you got it away from me, because I probably would have like went to go sip it every once in a while and been reminded, you know, that I didn't like it.
Maybe it's just because it's a terrible. Maybe it's cheap. Maybe that's why we don't like it. But I do not like it.
It was only $7 for a big bottle.
That's true, and it's American made.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's American made, so probably not that great. Who knows? Maybe they all taste very similar. Basically, I think at this point, let's try to remember here. This is like they're back up at the balcony, and they're finally like eating and resting. Her and Lynn back like in their room, and then like Sin like takes a bite of that green ball that was given to her.
She has like a really bad reaction to it.
Yeah, like
doesn't she?
it must taste terrible or something. And then it kind of cuts to like I think it cuts to No Face. He's in the bathhouse still because one of the frogs that like noticed. Remember the frog that
from the bridge
earlier in the movie? It was like, look, he's looking for gold in the floorboards still. And then No Face like makes gold.
Yeah, like gold just like pops out of its hand.
Yeah. That's how he made bath tokens. He made like an abundance of bath tokens earlier too. So like it must be just like trying to indicate that he must have like reproduction powers or something. Like he must be able to like clone stuff. It's very odd. But one of the things is he like No Face's like thing is like he goes like he just makes this weird sound.
Yeah.
And he like is holding out gold, and then he like eats the frog, and then he can talk now. So like it was very
like steals his voice, kind of.
Yeah, and so he like now he can talk, and then like one of the other workers is like, like what's going on out here? Like, 'cause it's in the middle of the like the bathhouse is closed kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're like curious, and then he like distracts him. He's like, here's some gold. He's like, wake up everybody, like you know. He's like, I'm hungry, and then it cuts to Sin. God, so much happens in this movie. It's so hard to remember.
Yeah.
But like Sin is having like a dream sequence of like she gives the medicine ball because it must be medicine, and she's supposed to give it to her parents. She's like, well, maybe it'll turn you back, maybe it'll help you or whatever. And then like as she holds out that green ball, like all the pigs like start swarming at her and stuff, and like, and then she wakes up. She's having a bad dream.
Yeah,
but it was like a vision almost. Very odd.
Is this where right afterwards she notices like she wakes up and like Haku is floating in the air as the dragon?
Yep.
Is this the next scene right after this?
Perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say it moves into Haku is like out in the open and she notices him out there, and then there's like paper planes on him or something, like almost like little paper people kind of things.
She misidentifies them as birds.
Yeah. Yeah, he's out there as a dragon, like he's like flying around as a dragon, and like I guess like he must be hurt, and like he like as like he like is coming back towards the bathhouse, like he like basically like flies into the window, like, and like blood splatters everywhere, and like she's like closing the balcony window like to block all the paper coming in, because like the papers after her or after him, and he like looks like a dog. This is where you get like a first close up, and he looks like a like I said, like the earlier, like that dragon from the Neverending Story, like fur. He has like fur. It's really weird.
Yeah, kind of acts like a dog too, like the way it like growls and stuff at her.
Oh, I almost forgot. There's a train out in the water. See how much for this to get? There's a train out in the water, like, and Lynn earlier was like, "I want to get out of here and get on that train. One of these days will take me away or whatever." So like, Lynn doesn't want to be here, but anyway,
trying to keep up with all these like fantasy elements.
Yeah, there's so much.
It's like I've been thrown into the Atlantic Ocean, and like I don't know how to swim. Like
yeah.
I'm having a hard time following all this.
Yeah, I feel like if you watched it twice, you may have would have caught on to a little bit more.
Yeah,
but it's a lot to digest.
I really wish I would have watched it twice.
I feel like it's okay that you didn't watch it twice though, because I think I hope you enjoyed it at least.
I liked it.
Yeah,
definitely.
I just think I don't think you need to understand everything.
No, I agree with that.
I think it's just like a great adventure. Like I think I can't remember where I read this. It was like I think it was like in a little booklet that came with the movie, but it said like this is a movie, like I think it was like I don't know if Miyazaki had said this as a quote or something, but it was like a movie about good and evil, not fought with swords, like very I don't know, it's very odd. Like Yubaba's obviously evil. I just think like it's really mysterious, like because we think Haku's good, but he has a lot of mystery around him, and like I can't tell if he's good or trying to help her or what. Like if he's bad because he's her henchman or whatever.
The same thing kind of goes with No Face, because you're kind of led to believe that it's evil.
Yeah,
and then I even after watching the movie, I'm not really sure where that creature stands. Like it seems like on the good side at the end.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, not to jump too far ahead. Or anything.
It's weird. Like it's a weird movie to follow, and it's why it's so surreal. Like it doesn't have to make sense, really. Yeah, which most surreal like things don't. Like artwork and what's that one dude? Salvador Dali. You know. Like that's surrealism. Like it doesn't really make sense, but I mean it's interesting to look at.
I agree.
Yeah, like so we get like these cuts around the bathhouse to where like, you know, because Haku has like left the building. Like she's like trying to save Haku because he's like bleeding out, like there's blood everywhere. And he's like coughing up blood, and she's like going after him, and he like flies all the way up to the top of the bathhouse, like in the office of Yubaba's office, basically.
Yeah,
and like we get to see like Sin is now having some independence from all the other characters. I thought was interesting. Yeah,
she's like not just doing what she's told. She kind of goes out rogue right here.
Basically, like as No Face is like giving out gold to everybody, like so like the whole bathhouse is now centered around No Face because they're all trying to get gold. And they're trying to like serve him and stuff because he's loaded, I guess, you know. And like even Lynn's like, "Hey, come get some gold," and she's like, "No, I'm busy." Like she's like, "Okay, whatever." And so then that's where Sin's running around, and Sin, as she's trying to make it up the elevator, like they're trying to escort No Face like around the bathhouse, and they're like all trying to collect tips from him basically. And she runs into him, and he like offers her like this huge handful of like gold nuggets, and she like refuses it.
Yeah, because she's too focused on going to find Haku.
Yeah, and then he goes on a rampage. He can't believe it that like she would like
deny the gold.
Yeah, which is really weird. I don't know if like that's his gimmick. Like maybe that's what sets him off. Because
does he eat like the greedy or something? Is that like No Face's character?
I don't know. I feel like we probably could look up like what that like is indicative of, but I think
because there are themes of like greediness in the movie, kind of woven throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that like she wouldn't take the gold from him, like he couldn't eat her, like maybe like you know what I mean? Like he feeds off the greed of people, and like she was not emblematic of like that characteristic.
Yeah, I guess
that's just me guessing.
I didn't think about that. I mean, you are right though. Like she didn't take anything else from him besides that one bath token at the beginning. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's true. Like. And then, like, basically, like No Face is huge at this point. Like, he has, like, frog legs, and...
He's like, building as he, like, eats, people.
I was gonna say, Sin, like, finally, like, makes it up to the office, like, as, like, No Face is on a rampage. Like, there's a lot happening.
All at the same time.
Yeah. And, like, Yubaba has, like, returned... and everything. Like Yubaba like has like come back from like her like trips that she keeps making out the window as she flies away and stuff.
Yeah, we don't find out where she went really. Did
no,
we?
we never really get to know.
She's just like a businesswoman out on business.
Yeah. I was gonna say like Sin like makes it up through like the baby room, like the nursery. I really like this. This is cool.
This was an interesting scene. Yeah.
She hides in Sin hides in the big pile of these pillows. And then, like, as Yubaba has returned, like, goes to check on the baby. And the baby is in the big pile of pillows. Like, huge baby. Like, bigger than Yubaba.
Yeah.
Like, big old baby. Think of a baby, like, scaled up to the size of Hulk, you know? Like, big, it's a big guy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And even Sin's like, oh, you're a big baby. Like... And the baby like can talk to her, like can talk like.
Yeah, like it speaks English, but like its emotional intelligence is like that of a baby.
Yeah. The baby's like, play with me or I'll break your arm, and if you don't play with me, I'll cry, and then you'll get in trouble, and Mama will kill you, and like it's really weird.
What's the baby's name? Is it Bo or something like that?
I don't know. I don't remember. I think it's just like I don't know. I just call it the baby.
Just big baby.
Yeah, I put my notes big ass baby. Not forget. God, there's so much stuff visually that happens in this movie. But like the paper is stuck to her back from earlier.
One of the paper birds.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And,
whatever it is.
I don't know. It's like just a weird cutout looking thing. Yeah, as like she like. Holds up like blood on her hand from Haku and is like, look, germs, and the baby starts crying. Then she runs out to the office to check on Haku, and then basically the paper turns into what we think looks like Yubaba, and it's actually her twin sister, Zeniba.
Little plot twist right here.
Yeah, it tripped me out the first time I saw it for sure. I was like, what the fuck? It didn't make any sense. But I guess since Haku goes on missions for Yubaba, he must have stolen what seems to be a gold seal, which is like looks like a little like gold bar. Yubaba's sister turns the baby into a mouse, and the crow that accompanies Yubaba into like a little tiny like fly looking bird. And the three heads, she changes the three heads, the three green heads from the beginning, turns those into to the baby. So, like, to replace the baby.
I was confused in all this, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really weird. But she's like, turns the green heads into the baby, and the baby into the mouse, and the bird into the tiny bird. And then they come along for the rest of the movie. The baby does as the mouse, and the bird... the crow as the tiny bird. But then, so he snaps the paper in half Haku does.
Yeah.
He cuts the paper in half, and then Zeniba, like, almost like her, like, she, like, disappears. Like, almost like she was there in, like, spirit form, astral type deal. Really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is really weird. It's a really weird movie. Like, there's so much that happens, just like, okay, that happened.
He does that, but he's still, like, real injured
Mm-hmm.
at this point. Like, you kind of think he's gonna die.
Yeah, but then they fall down the chimney. All four of them. Haku, Sin, Chihiro, and the mouse and the bird. Actually, we're moving along in this pretty fast. We're not that far behind. We're only like an hour or so into this. So we're doing okay.
We're doing all right, yeah. You're doing good. I don't know about me.
I wrote so many notes so we wouldn't get lost. There's so much. Like I told you, like I'm gonna challenge you. It's a big movie to digest.
I've been challenged for sure.
Yeah, it looks so innocent when you go into it, but it's just like takes you on this weird ride. But they fall down the chimney down to like Zamachi's boiler room. She gives half of the medicine ball to Haku, and he spits out the seal. Mm-hmm. And along with a black slug
that she steps on.
Yes, and even the Kamaji's like, "Ooh, get that out of here! That's bad luck."
Yeah,
like,
you don't want to be touching this.
Yeah, and then she like makes like a circle with her hands, and then he's like, "Bad luck, be gone," and like splits it. Like that's kind of funny. It reminds me of like holding the OK sign down by your hip and stuff. It's like weird.
Oh, the made you look.
Yeah,
thing.
like it's like what is that called? Like superstition type thing.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting. Like my grandpa, for example, he like thinks it's bad luck to go out a door into your house and like not come back in the same door. So like if you go out the front door, you have to go back out through the front door. It's really odd.
I've never heard that before.
Exactly, me neither. But like it's just one of his superstitions. It's really weird.
Are you a superstitious person at all?
I'm trying to think where I would be superstitious.
I don't think I am.
I think karma's a bitch sometime.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you off air, but later I have a karma's a bitch moment that you'll be glad to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. But we shouldn't forget that there's a weird dream sequence in the chimney. Type of weird visual that we get. I don't know if you caught this. Piss break. All right. Little technical difficulty, right? All right.
I guess if you want to talk about
Dogs barking.
Dogs barking and an existential conversation in between.
Dude,
I consider that a technical difficulty.
I'm having
it's technically difficult.
Yeah, I agree. Right when we left off, we were talking about the chimney, and as they're falling down, she grabs Haku by like the horns on his head. And this is like small. This is small and like visually like, but like almost like cuts away to like Chihiro like they're like underwater and like it's like very vague, very odd. It really can only be explained visually. Like you have to see it visually to understand it. But like it's almost like she's underwater as she's grabbing the horns, which I thought was very. It's like it says like there's something here to that. But
does it have something to do with like the telepathic effect that like Haku had on her earlier? Like touching him. Like there's some kind of like weird universal connection that occurs or something.
I think visually it's trying to explain that there's something deeper here, and even Chihiro doesn't know.
Yeah,
even she doesn't know at the time. But she gives Haku the medicine that the river spirit had given to her, and then he coughed up the gold seal and then squashes the slug, and
we've kind of already found out at this point that Yubaba's evil sister, her twin sister, had the seal stolen from her.
Yeah, Zeniba or whatever.
And that's why she went after Haku.
Yeah. There was a small thing that's about since they're in the boiler room, Kamachi says that Haku was just like Sin when he showed up here, but he didn't know why he was there. And then Yubaba gave him work, and then he became her assistant.
Yeah.
So like we get to know a little bit more about Haku. He's a little bit more mysterious, and then Sin has to go return the gold seal to Zeniba, and Kamachi gives Sin his train tickets
that he's been holding on to for like what 40
years, yeah. And Sin actually says, "I guess my parents will have to wait."
Yeah.
It's like, well, don't forget why we're here. Yeah, she's here to free her parents still. It's just like small little reminder, and then, but before she leaves, she has to like go calm No Face down. Take care of that because Lynn like is like, look, everybody's looking for you. Like, you have to go calm down No Face, and so she finally goes up to the main room to the bathhouse, and then basically like she like gives him the other half of the medicine that she had given to Haku. She gives the other half to No Face to make him. She's like, this will make you feel better. And then he like starts he starts like throwing up all this food and like makes him sick. And then so he like chases her around the bathhouse, and all this food spilling out of him and all these people and stuff. And then he finally starts slowing down. Like, he loses all this like power that he had gained. And then they like walk out the bathhouse, and
he like returns to like normal size, kind of, right?
And like he's kind of slow, like he walks slow, and then this like scene's like extremely scary, like for real. Like, it's like kind of like really dark. Like, it just like it's like really like weird, like the way it's animated and the way like No Face is chasing around and stuff. It's just like,
I'm kind of glad that I never saw this when I was a kid.
Yeah,
because I feel like this would be like a nightmare-inducing movie.
Yeah.
Like as an adult, I'm like appreciating the visuals. Like, oh, that looks so cool. Yeah, back then this would have been nightmare fuel for me. No doubt.
Oh, there are tons of movies like that for me where like I watch as a kid and like they only like bring me anxiety even to this day. Like, I used to watch Jaws all the time when I was a kid. Have I ever told you this?
I think so, yeah.
Well, for those out there that don't know, when I was a kid, I used to watch Jaws like just for fun. And like, it's not really that scary, but like, because there really isn't like a lot like visually to like be scared by besides like the shark, which is like literally like 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
There's a spot where he eats the back of the boat and like eats one of the crewmates, like basically like cuts him in half. Kind of really, really scary. When I was a kid, I used to think that Jaws was going to come out of the back of the bathtub. So I would like hug like
the one side,
the faucet of the shower and like of the bath, because I thought like Jaws would just eat the back of the bathtub, like the back of the boat. So weird.
Dude, when you're a kid, that fantasy elements just kind of run away in your mind.
Dude, that shit makes sense when you're a kid, bro. But now it's like, well, I guess that wouldn't work. But
I don't know, man. Jaws is pretty scary.
Yeah,
I saw it for the first time.
That's right.
Over the summer this year.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of tension in that movie. I totally get it.
Yeah. But like, I would just watch it. It's like, yeah, this is what I want to watch. I want to watch Jaws. It's like, even though I already know like a million times how much it freaks me out.
I was the same way with Jurassic Park when I was a kid. Also, Spielberg directed that and Jaws. So there's a connection there.
I need to watch Jurassic Park sometime again soon. It's been a while.
Oh, great movie.
So then like Lynn takes Sin out to the train station on like a little raft. She's gonna go return the seal to Zeniba and apologize for Haku. This is my favorite scene of the movie because literally nothing happens.
It's like the one slow down part of the movie that we get finally.
Yeah, this scene in the movie is like the reminder of like what's at stake and like why this story's taking place. It's like it gives you time to digest a little bit and like think, and like No Face comes along and the bird and the mouse, they come along on the train station, and like I thought it was kind of funny. She's like, here, sit down on the, and like No Face is just chilling.
Yeah.
Like, he's just chilling at this point. Like, even though he just went on this rampage, it's kind of odd. I really love the music in this part too. Like, it's like probably like one of the slowest tracks on the whole soundtrack, where it really like gives you time to like recollect, and like Sin's like super independent at this point and is really like everything's in her hands at this point. It's really a
little bit of a character arc for her.
Yeah, a lot of development, a lot of character development. There's some words for you.
Yeah.
But I love the like the watercolor and like the vastness like of like the world, because it's like all split up with water, and like I don't know, like these spirits that are like pretty much, they look like humans basically. Like, they have like clothes on and stuff, but like no faces. Like, they're blacked out, like silhouetted, and they're like going to like different, like getting off at different stations and stuff, and it like makes you like wonder where they're going, and like
where are the other locations in this like spirit world?
And it's like why if they're going somewhere, like what happens there, where they're what happens in the setting that they're in, and very very interesting. It almost looks like just like standard life, the houses and stuff.
It's just business as usual for like these creatures.
Yeah, it's really odd. I really like it, but like they don't explain anything yet. It's just really nice to like gives your like brain a second to relax, and like I really loved it. Like I just love this scene. It's just really quiet.
Well, like our main character really doesn't have enough time to learn about this world because like her issue of like saving her parents and everything is like so pressing. It's like she doesn't have time to stop and ask questions.
Yeah, but it only allows for us as the viewer to like just like be along for the ride and like question the things happening around her. It was nice
because we're only experiencing this story through her, really.
Yeah, exactly. So
they go to Swamp Bottom.
Yeah, and Haku wakes up and back at the boiler room, and like so we kind of get a little cut between both of the characters, like as what they're doing. But yeah, she's at Swamp Bottom. Like Kamachi explains that like he like it's a small part, but he's like only explains that love like is what saved you, and like it wasn't anything else. And Haku finally goes up to like talk to Yubaba, and like he like stands his ground, and we get to know later on why, but like he like stands his ground to Yubaba, and like he's like, you haven't even realized like something very precious from you is missing. Yubaba finally realizes that the baby is the three heads, and she's like freaking out, like where's my baby? And I like this part of this movie. And Haku's like he finally has like some leverage over Yubaba. Like he has like bargain for like Sen's freedom, and is like, I want you to like release her. And then like, you know, Yubaba's like, yes, but only on one condition. And then like we kind of cut away back to Swamp Bottom.
Yeah.
And
so Sen gets to meet with
Izaniba, her sister.
Yeah.
And like as we're like walking up to this scene, like there's like a lamp that like hops around.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
The noise that it makes. I was watching this with I have with like my two dogs in the room, and the noise it made was like similar to like a squeaky toy. So my dogs were paying like extra attention to this part of the movie.
That's funny. Yeah, like it's kind of reminded me of this scene. It reminded me of like Beauty and the Beast. Like as like going up to the castle, it almost seemed like menacing, but then like as we step inside, like Zaniba's super friendly.
Yeah, like we kind of been led to believe that she was
just like another evil witch.
Yeah, yeah. But her demeanor in this scene, I mean, she's like really welcoming to Sen and everything.
She's like, well, come on in, like super nice, like grandmotherly. And she also explains like you have to call me Granny now. And like she's like, sit down, and she's gonna make you some tea, and and they all, you know, she returns the gold seal, and she's like, well, only love can break the seal's curse or whatever, because the seal was like cursed to like whoever steals it will die or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I squashed the slug. She's like, the slug, and she like starts laughing, and it's like, well, the slug is what Yubaba uses to control Haku. And it's like, oh, that's why he went and like talked back to her.
Well, that kind of like begs the question, in my opinion, why was he so willing to help Chihiro in the first place? Like, if he was under the control or whatever, like, how much like free will does he have?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's true.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if like maybe like it's only like he obeys her obedient orders, like only if she orders him to do something. But maybe he still has free will. But like if she tells him to do something, he must do it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I have no like it does. There's like really no room to elaborate on it because nothing's really explained to us.
Yeah, that's just like, you know, my interpretation. You know, whatever.
Yeah, like Chihiro explains that like to Granny that she seems like she's met Haku before somewhere. And, like, they're trying to figure it out, and she says, I wanted to tell you this, because after watching this the first time, before I watched it the second time, when I was taking these notes and everything, but this stood out to me, and I thought about it on one of my deliveries this week. She says, once you've met someone, you never really forget them. And I delivered to somebody that I went to high school with, but, like, was older than me, but I was, like closer to them, when I was early in high school, and I had forgot about them.
Yeah.
Like I totally had forgotten about them, and then I saw their face. I was like, oh my god, where are you from?
Yeah.
And I remembered, and then I was like, I remembered that part of the movie. I was like, once you've met someone, you never really forget them. And I was like, I know who you are. Like you were in my art class with me, and she was a senior at the time. It was really interesting. Like I was like, huh. So I got to think about the movie throughout my week and stuff. It was kind of nice. But like yes, Zeniba, like they like thread like a hair tie for her and stuff, and like No Face and like the mouse and stuff are like weaving yarn and stuff. It's really like funny. Like you just get like a weird like paradigm shift between like what these witches are supposed to act like.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. But like the music was like super homey and relaxing. Like the soundtrack is like setting the tone for the movie. And finally, like No Face, he stays with Granny. Like he stays with Zeniba. She's like, well, you can stay here with me, and he's like, like doing his thing. I thought like, so like, well, maybe he'll chill when he's with Granny and stuff, and then like Haku like shows up and like brings her on back, like he's in dragon form, and it was cool. Like it's just like we're getting like this little tidy up here towards the end.
Yeah,
I really liked. I like the way this movie ends.
Me too. I did like the ending in this movie a lot.
Okay, I want to know where your confusion is after we end the movie, or like any more questions you might have.
Okay, we'll have to like go over it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll explain my confusion.
Like in this scene on the way back to the bathhouse, she's riding on Haku's back, and she, like, we're getting these little cuts of like flashback, and like there's a pink shoe in the waves and stuff that's getting drifted away. It's like very small little things. But she says, she's like, here, I think this will help you remember. And she's like, when I was a little girl, I almost drowned in a river one time. And she's like, but I got washed away to shore before I drowned. And she said, and that river was the Kohaku River. And so does this make sense to you now?
I understood at the end that Haku was like the river spirit.
He's a river spirit. And so he remembers his name, and that free, like, he, like breaks, like he finally remembers his name. Like, Sin's point.
Like, it breaks him free from Baba, right? Like, officially.
Like, complete, like, he'll be okay now, because he remembers, like, Sin has to remember her name, because, remember at the beginning where the kanji, like, come off the paper, the words come off the paper, and it's left with Sin? When Haku showed up here, it must have been the same thing. Must have said Kohaku River, and she
cut off the front part of his name.
Yeah, pulled the letters off, and it was left with Haku, and he doesn't remember his name because he's been there so long. And so, like, that kind of, like, he's like, oh, I remember my, like, he's like, I remember, like, and that's why he remembers her name. And at the beginning of the movie, she's like, how do you know my name? And he's like, I've known you since you were very small. And it's just like, okay, well...
Okay, you filled in the gap for me right there. Okay. I was confused on that earlier.
Okay.
Somehow I missed it on my viewing.
Every time I watch this movie, I always forget that part of the movie. For real. Like, I feel like this movie moves so fast, and, like, that's why it works so well. Because you forget, in the train scene, you're like, oh, shit, this is... Like, I forgot. Like, you're forgetting, like, Chihiro. Like, she's forgetting why she's here. She forgets her name. She, like...
That's a good point right there.
Like...
I didn't think about it like
I don't know necessarily if it's intended, but it feels that way to me.
I bet it is.
Oh, for sure. But, like, it feels like you're just so caught in it, you know? Like, visually, you're just, like, stimulated, and, like, you're along for the ride, and you forget, like, what's at stake here. You know, like, they make it back, and, like, there's one last test for Chihiro, and she has to pick out her parents out of all these pigs, out of these 8 pigs that are out, and she's like, you only get one chance, or you're stuck here forever. And, like, it's only up, like, gets no help or whatever, and all the bathhouse is watching.
Like, and they're all kind of, like, cheering for her, in a way. Like, they're all behind her.
Yeah, yeah, like, they're all, like, they've all been affected by her, because, like, they've, like, seen, like, you know, the stink monster and No Face, and, like, this was, like, probably an event that,
it was,
like,
unusual for this bathhouse to, like, experience all these, like, weird things.
Yeah, like, even though it's unusual, like, like for all these things to be happening in the bathhouse. It's probably unusual for the people in the bathhouse. Very like, so they all are like they're all like rooting for her.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh, well, none of these pigs are mine, or none of these pigs are my parents. And they're like, are you sure? And she's like, mm-hmm. And then they all, like, all the pigs turn into, like, frogs, or, like, some of the ducks or whatever, like, some of the spirits. And, like,
yeah, a mixture of the whatever we've seen so far in the
yeah,
movie.
and everybody celebrates, and, you know, so now she's free. Even Yubaba's, like kind of, like, indifferent, like, oh, well. But, like, everybody's, and, like, even she's, like, thanks for everything, like, even thanks Yubaba at the end, and, like, she's, like, kind of grown up through this experience. I really like it a lot. At the end of the movie, Haku, like, runs her out back to the beginning, back to next to the train station.
Yeah.
The water's gone on the river and stuff, and Haku's sending her home. It kind of ends with, there's dialogue here, and she says, will we meet again sometime? And he says, sure we will. And then she says, promise. And he goes, promise. And he says, now go, don't look back. She's like, don't look back this way until you've crossed through the train station. And she kind of, as she's making her way out, she like, you can kind of see her trying to look back. And she's like, no, I must look ahead. And then she goes back down through.
She's like disciplined at that point.
Yeah. And then her parents are just like, where have you been, honey? And it's like, you motherfuckers. Like, it's, like,
it's all their fault.
Yeah.
She was here in the first place.
I know. It's like, and they're like still like bratty and like.
Yeah, they're like completely unaware of like that they've been turned into pigs.
Yeah, they have no idea.
It's as if she just like wandered off when they first walked into the amusement park.
I think, and then it just ends, and then her parents are like, and they get back in the car, and like time has passed a little bit.
They're asking her like, you know, I know it's scary that we're moving to this new place, and she's like, nah, I think I can handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this whole story has made her grow into, you know, more independent, less of a brat.
Yeah, and then it just ends.
Yeah,
it just ends, bro. All right, man. That's a lot to get through, and like, it didn't take it too terribly long, but I wanted to first off, I wanted to ask you like what your favorite scene in the movie was. I know what mine is, but go ahead.
My favorite parts of this movie came more from like the visual standpoint, maybe not from like a plot. I really liked when she first arrives at the amusement park, and Haku tells her to run, and it turns nightfall for the first time. I already mentioned this earlier, but like all the lanterns lighting up as she's trying to run away. I really like the scene where she is pulling the garbage out of the river spirit. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I mean, like, after only seeing it one time, I feel like I don't have a concrete favorite scene.
Yeah,
it was just more like visual parts that I was really impressed by.
Yeah, I feel like if you watch it twice, you maybe have like more of a concrete. I feel like now that we've talked about it at length, like you probably can go back and like have a better understanding of like going through. But like when you're watching this for the first time, like it's hard to digest. Like, when I rewatched this movie for the podcast, I hadn't seen it in a year or two. And I was just like, I had forgotten a lot, for real. Like, I'd forgotten a lot of the story, and, like, I was pleasantly along for the ride again. And I mean, I remember some things, don't get me wrong. Like, I remember some of the big spots, but, like, I forget the little nuances and stuff throughout. So,
yeah.
I feel like anytime I ever turn to this movie, I always enjoy it just, like, if not as much or like close to the first time viewing it. Like, I'm still caught in wonder every time I watch it. That's why I love it so much.
You said that you knew what your favorite scene was. What is that?
It's definitely the train scene. I like it.
That's right.
Visually, yeah. Like just it just is that one spot in the movie where you just get to remember why we are here, and it's like I love the music. And it's almost like melancholic and like. I can hear it in my head right now. Like, it's very, like, ominous and, like, dreary, but, like, in a, like, bittersweet tone. I don't know. Really like it a lot. I have favorite characters, but, like, what characters did you like about the movie? Or, like, is there a character that you liked you liked their job in the movie? Or, like, you liked the way they interacted with the world and stuff? Or, like...
Yeah, The name is escaping me right now. The boiler room guy.
Kamachi, yeah.
Kamachi. Yeah, he was my favorite character.
Yeah, he's like grandpa.
He was a little bit more involved than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
Like that first scene where you meet him kind of feels like after she leaves, you may never see this character again.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
But I was glad that he like came back later on in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, either him or Haku were probably my favorite characters.
Okay. My favorite characters are Kamachi and then Yubaba, because I like Yubaba for first off for her character design, as I said earlier, but like, she reminds me of like stubborn like granny that likes material. First off, she just reminds me of my grandma, but like if my grandma had like magical powers and ran a bathhouse, like I don't know, I like
Yeah.
I feel like she's a grandma that like takes herself too seriously, but then she's also like in this world she's like a witch that like controls this bathhouse, and then she's like maybe she's not really evil, you know, like at the end I didn't feel like she was super evil, but
No, not really.
but like
it seemed like in the perspective of this story, it seems like she's like the big baddie, like the big villain. But in this world, she just kind of like overall, it seems like she's just like a sleazy business owner.
Yeah.
Like, she's not like a god.
yeah,
You know, like in other parts of this world, she may have no significance, like whatever,
Exactly.
like whatsoever.
I thought like at the end, like just like when everybody like is celebrating, and like then even you know Shihiro's like thanks everything, you know, like and she's just like I just feel like she's just like just stubborn, like
Yeah.
But you know like she was made up to be like this evil lady, but like prior to the bathhouse people are like she's just the boss, that's all it is. But like she just seems so menacing.
I mean, we're watching the story from a like 10-year-old's perspective.
Exactly.
So I mean,
Exactly. Like it's just it makes her feel so menacing, but really she's just probably like a little moody grandma that like loves her baby. I just thought it was interesting. Is there is there a part like I'm assuming visually like that was your favorite part of the movie is like the visuals?
yeah, just the overall art direction was really great.
Yeah, I feel like if you watch more Studio Ghibli movies, you'll like start catching on to a lot of like that art style. Like obviously, like Hayao Miyazaki, he's like art director of all these movies. Like you know, he's the director of the movies, and then you know he like leads the art and stuff. So there's a rabbit hole you could go down with that for sure.
I didn't feel like I was watching a movie that was almost 20 years old.
Yeah, it's aged so well.
Yeah, it looked good. There was never a part where I was like, oh, this looks weird or dated or awkward.
I've echoed this before on previous podcasts, but like the recent movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that movie will age well because animation will age well if it's done well. Like
It doesn't try and be like too realistic or anything.
Yeah, like some movies that are animated are lost to the ether, like as far as like in pop culture, you know. Do you remember
I'm trying to think of an example.
You ever seen Over the Hedge?
No, but I remember when it came out.
But do you but you don't think about Over the Hedge.
No, I haven't thought about Over the Hedge since it came out.
Exactly. Or like trying to think of another one.
Well, like Romeo and Juliet or something.
Yeah, just like stuff like that just gets like tossed to the ether. Like it doesn't hold in your brain. It doesn't create like animation. The beauty of animation, it creates a vacuum where you can just make this world that can be different than any other. You have artistic freedom to like do whatever you want with the medium to make it impactful. And then there are movies that don't do that don't stand up later.
Yeah,
like this.
I agree.
This movie ages well for that reason. Like this movie, visually is stunning.
It looks good, and it's undoubtedly creative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the world. There's never been a sequel to this of any sort, is there? Or an expansion on the universe or anything?
I don't know if like the worlds are interconnected in Studio Ghibli. I haven't really gone down that. Like,
is there a Studio Ghibli universe? Like, there's a Marvel universe,
like a Marvel or like a Pixar theory or whatever. Like, I have no idea, but I don't think they ever made like direct sequels, which is one of my biggest gripes as far as like today's. We've talked about this before, but like
too many sequels,
not enough new ideas.
It's kind of weird because like considering how big of a success this movie was, you would think that maybe they would have expanded on it, but I'm glad they didn't
Yeah,
though.
I think Hayao Miyazaki, like as a director, he knows well not to do that. Like he
Yeah,
knows better not to ruin what he's already created.
he's no
He's
sellout.
a he's like a visionary is like as far as this field of like animation goes, but he falls victim to like only half he has to hold up to a masterpiece standard, and it's really unfortunate. And he's
Um,
talked about it before in like documentaries and like interviews and stuff. There's another animated movie that's anime that I might suggest later on. um,
yeah. Hey, no
I
spoilers.
won't spoil anything. We don't. I may not even suggest it, but I may. We could watch it sometime. I have it. There are movies that are animated well and are visually stunning that I think I could show you that you might appreciate. But
Um,
if you had to give the movie a loose score,
I don't know. Um,
I know what I would give it, but you go right ahead.
off of first viewing, I mean, like considering I had a hard time understanding certain things or like following the plot. I mean, maybe that's just my fault. You know, maybe it was the mindset that I watched this movie in. You're gonna hate me. I'm
I'm
gonna
not gonna
get.
hate you.
I'm
Go
gonna.
ahead.
I'm gonna go like a 7 out of 10.
That's fair. I knew you were gonna say that. It's okay.
I would feel bad going lower because I feel like my opinion is like kind of uninformed.
I feel like if you watch this movie again, you probably could come back to it and feel a little bit more secure about the way like you're.
I
It's
guarantee
okay.
that's how it'd be.
It's okay that you don't like. For me, I would definitely would at least give it a 9.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give it like a 10 out of 10 because like
I mean, this is a highly revered movie.
yeah, it's like critically acclaimed for sure, but like there are many reasons why people love this movie. I think we talked about a lot of it, but to me, one of the things when I finished this movie, coming back to it, like as I've gotten older, as I've taken on more adult responsibilities in life, I couldn't help after this movie just feeling like a restoration of like some of my innocence.
Um.
Like I felt like after I finished this movie, like I just had like this. It gives me this just bittersweet, like just this mood that I like. When I finished the movie, I just went to bed and just thought to myself like oh like it's okay to like be like a kid or like have like
Like ignorance of the world or something. Or?
like just I think not to get super like philosophical, but like I'm pretty sure we're all big. We're just big kids, for real. Like,
Dude, I mean, everybody's just like. You ever heard like the phrase like "fake it till you make it"?
yeah, or like,
That's what everybody's doing.
dude, everybody thinks they know they got their shit together. Like, this is the shit. Like, this is the way the world works. And like, if you do this, you do this, and then if you do that, you do that. But like in reality, it's just like you're just a big old kid that is like we just follow the systems that are in place, and we just act like we know everything. And I just think like when I finished the movie, I was just like I said, just restored that innocence in me a little bit. Like it just reminded me of like some of my childish wonders, and like I really enjoy this movie for that. That's why I like these movies for sure. They definitely restore a little bit of innocence in me, and I can enjoy like the childish aspect of it.
I think I'm definitely interested in returning to this movie in the future, and watching other Studio Ghibli movies at some point.
Yeah, if you watch it on, shit, we probably could watch something sometime on like HBO. Like, I need to see Kiki's Delivery Service. I know like that's a like really well received one. And then Howl's Moving Castle I've also wanted to see. That one's another really surreal one.
Hey guys, so I want to apologize that the conversation just kind of trails off at the end of this episode. Unfortunately, the last 5 or so minutes of the convo was lost to the ether. So the only thing that you guys really missed is that I make my recommendation for the next episode. So I guess I will reveal that to you guys right now. It looks like we are going to be doing Kid A by Radiohead to celebrate its 20th anniversary.
So look forward to that on the next episode of Two Dudes, Brews, and Reviews. I want to thank you guys again for listening to us. If you can, please subscribe and give us a rating. And I guess we will see you guys next time. Adios.